Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Trent Bridge Live once again as the County Championship continues with a home game here at Trent Bridge against Sussex. Now obviously today is day one. The two captains have been out there in the middle. I'm delighted to say that Hasib Hamid joins me once again. In you come, Has. We've only got one mic today, so we're going to have to pretend that we are friends. That's when you meant to say we are friends, but we'll move on. Yeah, we'll pretend. All right, fair enough. Obviously a good toss for you. You won that toss. You elected to have a bowl. Just kind of tell us about your feelings on choosing to have a bowl this morning.
Yeah, to be honest, it looks a good wicket. I think the overheads played quite a big role there, to be honest. So the clouds have just come in, so hopefully that helps us with the ball this morning.
I was going to say about that, really, kind of this morning when we rocked up this morning, it was quite sunny, not many clouds about, but I suppose since sort of 10 o'clock the clouds have come in. Did that really influence your decision, or was you always inking towards having a bowl?
Yeah, probably still, yeah, looking to bowl first, but I think the clouds helped make that decision. We know here generally it's a good wicket. You know, if the sun's out, it can be a good wicket to bat on, and if the clouds are around, then it can do a little bit more. So, yeah, hopefully it proves to be the case, yeah.
Third home game here for us at Trent Bridge. Obviously, we had that trip away to Warwickshire. For you, I can't even say it, stupendous. I can't even say it, Has. He gave me a word to say and I can't even say it, but there we go. A great innings from you, 138 not out, carried your bat. How pleased were you with the overall team performance against Warwickshire? And if that rain hadn't maybe affected the game, do you think we could have got a real positive result from that?
Look, yeah, I'm really pleased with the way the boys played. You know, the fact that we bowled them out for 90 odd on any wicket is always a great effort. So, yeah, that was really pleasing to turn back it up with the bat, to string some partnerships together with a few of the boys and get a good score on the board, and then, you know, get them 6 down. And to be in that position, having played probably just over 2 days of cricket, is yeah, it was a really strong effort from the boys, and I feel like, you know, although we didn't come away with a win, we still gained massive momentum from that game. So hopefully we can take that into this week.
And this is our kind of final game before a week's break, obviously that first section of the County Championship. You just mentioned the word there, momentum. How important is it to kind of continue that momentum and sort of finish this first block in a positive way, whatever the result may be? Yeah,
absolutely. Look, yeah, we've been pleased with the start that we've made, and we know we need to continue doing that. You know, games come thick and fast in this format, in this division. So, so yeah, it's another challenge ahead of us. We're back at our home patch, which is exciting, and yeah, hopefully we can continue playing some good cricket.
And just finally, top of the table clash, Sussex, obviously level points with us. It's not going to be an easy game, but what can we maybe expect from Sussex? What have you kind of looked at? Because we don't play them very often.
No, they're obviously playing some good cricket right now. They're probably high on confidence, having won or having come up from Division 2 last year, and yeah, started off well. But yeah, we kind of focus more on ourselves and trying to do our things well. And yeah, hopefully if we can do that, we can put in a good performance.
Well, we wish you well. Thank you very much for joining us, and give me an easier word next time.
Thank you.
Cheers, Has. Okay, the captain, Hasib Hamid there. Just to reiterate, he won the toss and elected to have a bowl. So Nottinghamshire bowling this morning with Sussex having a bat. But let's tell you about the Nottinghamshire selected 11 for this fixture against Sussex. And you will see a couple of changes to the side there. Obviously, we welcome back England international Ben Duckett. He's got a big summer awaiting him with England, but his first appearance for Nottinghamshire this season, slotting in there at number 3. Great to have an experienced player like Ben Duckett back in the Notts squad and team. And obviously the other change is basically Liam Patterson-White comes in for Lyndon James for this fixture. Liam's had a great week with the second 11, and he is rewarded with a slot in the selected 11 for this fixture. So just finally to mention on that, Ferguson O'Neill, what an impact he's had in Nottinghamshire colours this season. This is his final game of his 4-game stint with Nottinghamshire, and he'll be looking to make another big impact this morning with the bowl. So that is 11 players selected for Nottinghamshire against Sussex. Now, as I just mentioned to the captain, Hasib Hamid, it's a top of the table clash here at Trent Bridge. If you look at the table, Division 1 in the County Championship, it's very, very tight, but you will see that the top 2, obviously Nottinghamshire there in position 1 and Sussex in position 2. Exactly the same figures. 3 games played, exactly the same bonus points when it comes to bowling and batting. And as you can see, points-wise, both on 49. So it really is a top of the table, important clash. As I mentioned to Haas as well, it's the final game of this first stint in the county championship. Now, the clouds have come over, but it's set for a very good day here at Trent Bridge. 96 overs in the day, hopefully. No rain is scheduled, so we should be able to get all those 96 in. And seeing that as Bill from the ground team has just started the hover, the bell is just rang, and the players and the umpires will be making their way down the stairs very, very shortly. So I will leave you in the very capable hands of your commentary team. And for this one, it's Adrian, and of course, it's Dave.
Well, hello everybody and a very good morning. Welcome to Trent Bridge ahead of the opening day of this County Championship Division 1 game between Nottinghamshire and Sussex. Cloudy morning in the East Midlands, but we're going to start on time. Forecast not too bad actually. I think it'll get better over the weekend. And the top 2 lock horns here, Notts and Sussex. The news from the middle is that Notts have won the toss and have opted to bowl. A couple of changes for the Nottinghamshire side. They have Ben Duckett available for this game. The ECB release earlier was that Ben Duckett would be able to play matches 4. That's this one. And then 5 in a fortnight here against Hampshire. So Duckett comes into the side for Freddie McCann. And one late change, Lyndon James out with a viral infection, not able to go this morning. So Liam Patterson-White, who wasn't in the squad at 13, is elevated into the side. Liam Patterson-White, who many of you follow the seconds and will have seen the scores over the last few days, has had a tremendous couple of days this week. 165 and 7 wickets for the second. So he's banging form, and it's a case of maybe picking a player at the peak of their game. He comes into the side unexpectedly for him, no doubt, having not been in the 13. So Notts are Hamid, Duckett, Slater, Clark, Haynes, Verena, Patterson-White, O'Neill, Tong, Hutton and Ahmed. Our visitors this week, Sussex, joint top of the table, but not only that, they're back here at Trent Bridge, and that's an absolute joy for me because we don't play Sussex often enough. We don't go down to Hove this year, which is an absolute crying shame, as well as a little bit of a wrong that we'll talk about, I'm sure, over the course of for the next 4 days. But it does mean that we can lock horns once again with the very, very best of blokes on the county circuit. Lovely to welcome back to Trent Bridge my old mucker, Adrian Harms.
Dave, lovely to see you. Thank you very much. It's great to see you as well. I love my trips to Trent Bridge. You know, wonderful cricket ground, great company with you. So can't wait for the next 4 days. In terms of the Sussex lineup, there's a lot of speculation that a young lad called Ollie Moores may make his debut for Sussex. He's a 17-year-old who's spends his education time at the Brighton Aldridge Community Academy down in Brighton. So he's come up through the state system. Now, he was added to the squad that travelled up yesterday. However, he isn't in the side, and surprisingly perhaps, nor is Ari Carvalhos, the seamer. Sussex have elected to go with an extra batter. So Ollie Carter comes into the side. He's going to bat at number 6, with John Simpson dropping down to number 7. I think that says to me, Dave, that Sussex just a little wary of the strength of this Nottinghamshire seam attack, and with Nottinghamshire winning the toss and electing to bowl first, that might well be a good move for Sussex.
It may well indeed. Just I'll put out there, I know you ask these things, and always with finger crossed. If we are coming through on the BBC Sport website and app, the commentary, I'm very grateful if somebody could just drop us a quick nod at Brace Cricket on the old Twittery thing. We've got Adrian's email address as well, but if you can hear me on the Twittery thing, I've got no sound either in my ears or on the screen in front or coming out of the laptop or anything, but hopefully all has been connected, and you should be able to hear us at the other end. So Notts take to the field. We are playing over towards the Bridgeford Road side of the ground, the net from the one, as we know, but same for both sides, as they say. Brett Hutton's going to get us underway from the pavilion end, the Stuart Broad end as it's now known, Adrian, which is all, as you were quite alarmed to see this morning when you arrived here, covered in scaffolding and tarpaulins and what have you, out of commission for 2025, but it's behind there and the workmen go on. So Sussex full of runs at the top of the order. Tom Haynes and Daniel Hughes have given them some terrific starts, and they're going to see if they can just build their way through the morning. So an update from Radio Nottingham in a moment. Adrian, have you got an 11 o'clock?
I do it
okay.
Hourly on the half hour, Dave.
So I'll take this first few deliveries then until Radio Nottingham come, assuming that we're all nicely connected up to everybody. Here's Brett Hutton and to get us underway, bowling to Tom Haynes, 96 over day, and the first ball he's just helped down to long leg, and Fergus O'Neill, the Australian, will do the fielding again, bareheaded, as we've often seen. This is O'Neill's last match for Notts, the last of the 4 games that he's been contracted for. Sincerely hope that we'll see him again at some point, but we're up and running. 2 left-handers out there. Daniel Hughes off the mark first ball, Tom Haynes on strike the second. It's a team full of Toms, isn't it?
Full of Toms and full of left-handers. 5 left-handers in the top 7, Dave.
Here comes Ian, Joe Clark up. He's got his old mucker back there, and no Lyndon James, who've been in there all season so far, the 3 matches. So a rejigged slip cordon as Brett Hutton in and bowls, and that's edged and caught, and there's a wicket, and it is Jack Haynes in at slip, and third ball of the match. Hutton strikes. Terrific early blow struck by Nottinghamshire. Sussex 1 for 1. Haynes absolutely chock full of runs in the first 3 matches, but he's disappeared here at Trent Bridge. Second ball, he's just nicked it through to slip, and Notts have an early scalp.
I mean, he's been full of runs. He's made hundreds in the last couple of games down at Hove as Tom Haynes, but just a bit of extra grass on the wicket here. And Tom Haynes perhaps just playing slightly away from his body. Good catch though, low down. So Haynes has caught Haynes.
Yes.
Spelt differently.
Yes, he's been full of runs, hasn't he? That's
Well, he made 100 and he made 69 out of the second innings last week, but that was a lot of that, Tom would admit, was against some not joke bowling, but towards the end of the game. But he made a very good 174, which is a terrific knockdown at Hove last week. The previous game he made 141, so he's made a lot of runs this season as Tom Haynes, but not today, and that's a real blow.
And what a start to this game. Notts have won the toss. They've put Sussex in and already taken a wicket. Third ball of the match. Brett Hutton dismissing Tom Haynes. A catch at third slip by his namesake, Jack Haynes. So Sussex are 1 for 1. 2 changes to the Notts side. England man Ben Duckett and also Liam Patterson-White. Lyndon James has gone poorly this morning. Freddie McCann also misses out. Sussex batting 1 for 1. Get 15 seconds then. I get 15
is what you get.
Yeah.
Got to be quick.
Crikey. Adrian, I wonder if you'll take over, because people, I suspected, are saying there's nothing coming out at the other end.
Here comes Brett Hutton running in. Over the wicket, bowls to Tom Clark, who's beaten outside the off stump, goes through to keeper Verena. And there is no runs. There are 4 slips in place. A gully come backward point. Extra cover, mid-on, mid-wicket, and the fine leg. For those of you just joining us here on BBC Radio Nottingham and BBC Radio Sussex, the news from the middle is that Nottinghamshire won the toss and elected to bowl first. Sussex making 1 change from that draw against Surrey last week, as in comes Hutton racing in and bowls, and Clark is forward and edges this one past that fielder at backward point, and he's going to get his first couple of runs. The ball runs down towards the third man boundary, chased down there by Jack Haynes, who gets in the throw, and Tom Clark is on his way with a couple. Sussex go to 3 for 1. Ollie Carter coming into the side, his first appearance of the season, and that's strengthening the Sussex batting lineup. Danny Lamb missing out. He injured his Danny Lamb, and he hit on the hand last week, but the ball then ricocheted up and hit him on the shoulder. So Danny Lamb misses out in this game. And if you're listening, Dan, we wish you all the best as in comes Hutton bowls, and more runs here for Tom Clark as he nudges that one down through the slip cordon. The ball is racing away down towards the boundary, and it is going to go for 4 runs. So Tom Clark very quickly on to 6, and Sussex at 2, 7 for 1. End of an excellent opening over though from Brett Hutton. Nottinghamshire, say, winning the toss here, and Sussex at the end of that first over are 7 for 1. We've got the normal email address running. If you're down on the south coast or wherever you're listening from, you'd like to get in touch, you're very welcome. sussexcricket@bbc.co.uk, and on Twitter @BraceCricket. So lots of ways to get in touch with us. And I'm looking forward to seeing this fella bowl. Dave Fergus O'Neill's, I think he's taken 18 wickets this season and seems to be made a good start here.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, he's just here for these first 4 games. He's not really played all that much cricket down in Australia, so Notts could only get him on a short-term contract, but you'd imagine Notts have taken a liking to him, and he will have taken a liking to England. As you say, he's been full of wickets and runs as well. Got a half-century at Edgbaston the other day. Still trying to get connected, Adrian, on the BBC Sport website and app.
So it's going to be O'Neill who's going to come in to bowl. So the left-handed Daniel Hughes. Hughes waits, 3 slips, goes down, and that's wide outside the off stump. Australian to Australian, let go to mid-wicket, who's about 4 cut strips away from where Daniel Hughes is taking guard, and a fine leg all the way down in the distance as O'Neill turns. Right arm over the wicket. In now, bowls, and forward comes Hughes. Takes a good step forward and plays it into the offside, and there is no run. So these sides joint top of the county championship after 3 rounds of matches. Both sides get a little break next week, which I'm sure will be very welcome. It's been a Sussex with a win against Somerset at Hove, and a draw against Surrey at Hove, and a draw at Edgbaston in the opening fixture of the season. O'Neill is in number 11 on the back of his shirt. Bowls, and I think that's come off the thigh pad. It ball bounces backward of square on the leg side. Let's wait for the umpire's signal, and indeed it is signalled as a leg bye. The 2 umpires in this match, Ian Blackwell and Mike Newell. I wish umpires had their names on their backs, because they've got exactly the same uniform. Dave will know, I'm sure, who's who. The white shoes, the black trousers, the white coats.
Yeah, Neil at this end.
Thank you. And both wearing black armbands, I think, as in comes O'Neill. Bowls, and forward toes Tom Clark defensively out into the offside, fielded by Hasib Hamid, the Nottinghamshire skipper, and there is no run.
Yeah, I think the umpires did in the last round of games for Jeff Evans,
yes,
their old colleague. I've not heard anything to suggest it wouldn't be for Jeff.
No, they were wearing armbands on the last day down at Hove last week as well. O'Neill running away from us. In and bowls. Clark covers up to ball. A good length, punches it onto the onside, and there is no run. Cloudy day here at Trent Bridge. When we arrived a couple of hours ago, it was lovely, gloriously sunny and quite warm, but it's got distinctly chillier in the last couple of hours. And now pretty much total cloud cover over Trent Bridge. 4 slips in place now, but the light perfectly good, and O'Neill wheels around in front of us and is on his way in. And bowls, and Clark lets that go. We have to say it's a good leave from Tom Clark. Goes through to keeper Carl Verena, and there is no run. So end of the 2nd over of the morning. Well caught at 3rd slip by Jack Haynes off the bowling of Brett Hutton without scoring. And it is going to be that man Hutton who's going to carry on from the... now that's the... Is the Stuart Broad end of this end or the far? It is the far end. The far end where the pavilion is, but the pavilion is currently shrouded in scaffolding and all sorts of sheeting, all sorts of updates going on to the old Trent Bridge Pavilion as in comes Hutton over the wicket, bowls, and forward is Daniel Hughes, plays out into the offside, and there is no run. Had an email in from William Knight. Hello William, lovely to hear from you. He says, just to let you know, I regularly tune into the commentaries, and thank you very much for getting in touch. So we'll look forward to hearing from people throughout the match. Thank you William for getting in touch. Sussex Cricket at bbc.co.uk. As Hutton wheels around in and bowls, and Hughes takes a good couple of steps down the wicket and clips the ball down to fine leg and picks up a single. Does Daniel Hughes? He goes to 2, total to 9 for 1. John Malone has been in touch. He says, hello Adrian and Dave, coming through loud and clear on the stream from a cloudy Bexhill-on-Sea. Looking forward to 4 days of good cricket. This will be a test for Sussex, and I certainly believe that. I agree with you, John. Paul Farbrace has always said that Sussex will know how to assess their season after 4 games. As in comes Hutton and bowls, and Clark this time is forward, plays out to Hamid and Fields at mid-off, and there is no run.
I'll try that. Hang on, stay on the line.
A lot of you listening to the commentaries online. Dave just sorted out 1 or 2 little gremlins we've got in the system. Ben Duckett just coming out of the slip cord and then having a word with Hasib Hamid. Maybe noticed something there that wants to bring to the skipper's attention. Back in the slips. 4 slips go down. Hutton in bowls. Clark drives pleasantly into the covers. Good diving save though from Hamid, who's very quickly round from mid-off to field, and he's probably got a stain on his trousers from that, but he prevented the single, and there is no run. Nick Davies been in touch from Haywards Heath. He says, hopefully much better weather over the next few days than Surrey last week being played. Every test Sussex have faced this season, they've passed, so certainly not writing them off in any circumstances. In comes Hutton, bowls to Clark, who's beaten outside the off stump, taken by Calvarena. And there is no run. Thank you, Nick, from Haywards Heath. Haywards Heath, the home of young Ollie Moores, who was selected in this squad. He travelled up with the side yesterday, a product of the Backer Academy down in Brighton. But a great experience coming up here to a test match ground, and I'm sure being around the squad as well, and a young player with a great deal of promise that we've heard about. As in comes Hutton, over the wicket, bowls, and forward comes Clark, plays defensively into the offside, and there is no run. So thank you very much, Nick, for getting in touch. Tony Emerson has been in touch at the end of the over. 9 for 1 are Sussex. Hughes on 2, Clark on 6. Hutton 2 overs, 1 for 8. He says, hello from a rainy Prague. A bit torn with this match, not to my favourite county in terms of their history, Larwood and voice, but the Sussex revival is exactly the sort of good news the game needs. Thank you, Tom, for getting in touch. Sorry, Tony Emerson, listening out in a rainy Prague. Well, here at Trent Bridge, Tony, it's overcast, but the clouds are high, and I think the weather forecast maybe a few splashes of rain, but I think in general the ground staff were telling us that they're expecting to have plenty of play tomorrow, and then the weather really improves. It gets very warm into next week. As in comes O'Neill, bowls to Daniel Hughes, the Australian, who plays down the ground to mid-on, and there is no run. 3 slips, backward point, cover mid-off. There's a mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fine leg as we sit up high. 3 stories from the ground here. I just have to check with Dave. It's the Stuart Broad end and the Ratcliffe Road end, is that right? Yeah, and we're from the Ratcliffe Road end. As in comes O'Neill running away from us. In and bowls. Hughes lets that go. An exaggerated leave. Lets the gloves high out of the way. The ball goes through into the gloves of Kyle Verena, and there is no run. Ian Gray has been in touch from glorious Kemp Town, which, for those of you who don't know, is an area in Brighton. He says, tough start with Haynes going all too early. This is a very strong-looking knot side. Good old Sussex by the sea. So Ian and Heather listening down in Kemp Town. As in comes O'Neill, bowls, and forward comes Daniel Hughes, defends onto the leg side, and there is no run. If you'd like to join our conversation, please do so. Sussex Cricket at bbc.co.uk, or you can tweet at Brace Cricket. So if you're coming to the ground, you'll need an anorak or a sweater, as in comes O'Neill. Bowls, and Hughes works this one to backward point, and there is no run. Sussex 9 for 1. Tom Haynes out in the first over of the day, caught low down by Jack Haynes at third slip off the bowling of Brett Hutton for a duck. Sussex opting to go in with the extra batter in this game. Ollie Carter coming into the side, his first appearance of the season. He will bat at 6, we understand, with John Simpson, the skipper, dropping down a place to number 7. O'Neill is in. Bowls, and Hughes lets that one go outside of the off stump, taken by Carl Verena, and there is no run. Always difficult to tell when you're at a test match ground how big the crowd is, because they're scattered around this lovely ground right on the banks of the River Trent, and just over the road from Nottingham Forest football ground, the city ground. Lots of people, no doubt, from Nottingham making their way down to Wembley at the weekend for the FA Cup semi-final, as in comes O'Neill. Bowls to Hughes, who plays a little uncertainly into the slip cord, and there is no run. It is the end of the over, a maiden over from Fergus O'Neill. He's bowled 2 overs, 2 maidens, and as you can imagine, 0 for 0. Sussex are 9 for 1 at the end of the 4th over.
I'm back with you, and
well done, Dave.
Apologies to everybody.
I feel your pain, Dave.
Oh dear.
It does when things don't work.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of that one later, folks. But the pictures apparently we've been fine and on, but the BBC Sport website and app, they hadn't connected us for whatever reason. Sussex 9 for 1 as Brett Hutton comes in and bowls. So this is a good start by Nottinghamshire, getting that early wicket, but now Hughes and Clark looking to just rebuild with another single pushed out into the offside, and there's no run. Seabermead winning the toss, asking John Simpson to bat first. What a fine player John Simpson has been throughout his career with Middlesex, and whether it was a case of he wanted a longer contract at Hove, he wanted a new challenge which was presented to him down at Hove, or whatever the reason, he's been like a hand in a glove, the move to Hove. It's not necessarily the right simile, is it? This goes through to the keeper, but the move down there, it's just...
I think it was exactly that, Dave. It was a new challenge, a bit at Middlesex for all of his career, but since he's been down at Hove, he's made 700s, and a couple of doubles as well, and it was just what Sussex needed, a bit of experience around the side.
Here comes Hutton, past umpire Blackwell, a firm looking clip by the Australian. Hughes, I was a little surprised some homework. Yeah, I was a little surprised when I did a bit of homework that Hughes is now 36.
Yeah.
Never played for Australia either, which also I would have said it maybe had a test or two over the years. He's been a fabulous player for much of the last decade for New South Wales. Here comes Brett Hutton in, and he advanced a good stride towards Brett Hutton there. Didn't get anything on it as it goes through to Verena, the South African wicketkeeper. Decent-ish crowd in. You can never be absolutely certain of the numbers, because the majority pack this end of the ground, and certainly away to our right, Adrian, the middle tier, looking down behind the arm. It's
well patronised there. Yeah,
healthy number of people in here. Notts with a good start to the season, helped by home advantage as Hutton in once more, and that one just nips away. And this is a tricky little start here. It very often is at Trent Bridge. Tinges of green, the new ball moving around a little, and did really well there, Hughes, not to get the edge.
He came for half the season last year, Daniel Hughes. Sussex have got him the whole season. He was excellent in all formats, particularly in the T20, which he was a big part of Sussex getting to T20 finals day last year.
He's on strike now. Final ball of this, the 5th over. Brett Hutton bowls to Hughes. Tucks up and pushes it out onto the offside. Hamid does the fielding. End of the over. Feel like now we're connected on all formats. We can begin the morning again. Sussex 10 for 1 after 5. Very good morning. If you didn't have us for the first over or two, sorry about that. Notts picked up a wicket. Third ball of the match. Brett Hutton dismissing Tom Haynes with a catch by spelt differently, but namesake Jack Haynes at the third slip. Just found the outside edge and carried low down. Notts with a rejigged slip formation with neither Freddie McCann or Lyndon James in the starting 11. So they put Haynes in there, and his first involvement was to take a good low catch.
Well, focus on Jane Strong down on the south coast, who couldn't hear the commentary initially, but now she can. So, Jane, thank you for listening. If you want to get in touch, Sussex Cricket at bbc.co.uk, or you can tweet at Brace Cricket. Either way, be lovely to hear from you throughout the 4 days. Daniel Hughes, actually, his partner's expecting their first child anytime soon, so exciting time for Daniel. In comes O'Neill, bowls, and Clark is forward, plays down the offside of the track, and there is no run. 4 slips in place. There's a backward point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fine leg. Good morning to Martin Weiss in a sunny Twickenham, who says, my first chance to tune in this season. What of Sussex's prospects, he says. I'm thinking mid-table. As in comes O'Neill, over the wicket, bowls, and Clark is forward. He looks to play that in the offside. He's rather squared up, plays it onto the onside, and there is no run.
Well, we all do that, don't we, Adrian? We all sort of think, up the top now, we'll settle for mid-table. Yeah. But the players won't be thinking that.
No, they won't be.
You know, for both these sides, you know, we've got off to a good start, and you know, as they always say, the table doesn't lie. The joint top after 11, 12, or 13 rounds, it'll be very interesting to see what the thought is.
O'Neill in, bowls to Clark, who defends, plays actually the offside. He's got a bit of a move on here. The throw comes in the end. It was a well-judged signal, and Daniel Hughes was backing up. It was played into the offside by Tom Clark, and they scamper through for a single. Clark goes to 8, the total to 11 for 1. Martin goes on to say, also, how about Ollie Robinson? How do you think he's bowling? What is his mood? Is he pushing for an England return? Well, we can talk about that during the morning. One of those slips has come out. Interesting fielding change now. There were 3 slips. There's now 3 slips and a leg slip, as O'Neill makes his way in from the Ratcliffe Road end. Bowls, and Hughes is hit round about the thigh pad, and very obliged. He does that a lot, Daniel Hughes. He's a very nice fella. He just bends down and picks the ball up and throws it to the nearest fielder, and there is no run.
Yeah, it's Liam Patterson-White who's gone in at leg slip. Don't know when he'll have got the shout. Wasn't in the squad that was put out about 5 o'clock last night, and then obviously Lyndon James pulling out this morning. So an unexpected bonus, but as I say, very much in form.
O'Neill bowls, played into the offside by Hughes. He wants a single, it was never there. The throw came in from very quickly round from mid-off. He's taken the wicket of Tom Haynes, who was caught by Jack Haynes for a duck, as Dave was saying, off the 3rd ball of the morning. Sorry, it's Fergus O'Neill, I do apologise. 3 overs, 2 maidens, no wicket for 1.
Lots and lots of you have been in touch, understandably. Who's been in touch? Let's have a look. Here comes Hutton. And in and bowls, and run to backward point, no run. So there's lots of people. The first couple I go to, Dan Whiting, who I think at the moment is doing the Kent commentaries, isn't he? Last year, yes. He sort of alternated between Surrey and Gloucestershire, talking about John Simpson, pointing out, quite rightly, that way back a million years ago, John Simpson did play some games for Notts' second 11 after leaving Lancashire and before signing for Middlesex. One that...
Good knowledge, Dan.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about that. Next ball, wide of the pegs. Clark lets it go through to the keeper. I mentioned some. We'll test Adrian a little later on, maybe if it gets a little quiet. I put out a number of players that had played for both of these sides, and Play Up Pompey pointing out that I'd missed Eddie Hemmings. Obviously, also played for Warwickshire, Eddie Hemmings, but then he came here as part of the great championship winning side under Rice and Hadley. And Play Up Pompey's going on about darts. We can save that for another day, the darts chat. This was a inside edge onto the pad, and it runs out onto the offside. Hutton bowling to Clark, who's on 8, 11 for 1. Lots of people sending get well soon messages to Lyndon James. Send them to Lyndon, he's on here. He'll respond to you. Mandy Clark hoping that Lyndon gets better, and Chris Morley. Just a 53-year-old who's in the ground says he feels a bit sorry for Freddie McCann to be left out for this one. As Hutton bowls delivery that just came back, but was always going to bounce over the top. Good bounce and carry. Heavy workload for the Nottinghamshire seamers. Says just a 53-year-old, but you'd imagine with the 2 spinners in the side it's going to be a different sort of bowling unit. This match for Notts, they've not got Lyndon James to rotate in as the 4th seamer. Gets! Clark goes, LBW, and Brett Hutton, as he did at Edgbaston last week, gets the first 2 wickets in pretty quick order here. And Sussex are 11 for 2. And Tom Clark looked up towards the umpire, and Ian Blackwell raised his finger, and Brett Hutton missed the first game of the season. Only played 5 matches last year. Dreadful run of fitness and form for Brett Hutton last year, but back to sort of bowling that made him the leading wicket taker in the country 2 years ago. He's got Tom Clark, LBW, for 8 here early on, and Sussex are 11 for 2.
They are. Always interesting to see. I mean, my initial thought with that, Dave, and not with a Sussex hat on necessarily, I thought it was a little high.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I mean, it's never easy when we're up in the air looking down on it, but I can totally understand why you got that impression. Hopefully, I don't know if we've missed the replay or we'll get another one. Producer Kirsty, it'd be nice to see that again, the shots we've got.
But the finger went up pretty sharpish, so clearly Ian Blackwell was convinced that Tom Clark was out, and let's be honest, there's never been a player who's given out LBW who thinks that he's not out, so but it will be interesting to see. Kind of other emails coming. We're enjoying the commentary here in Ann Arbor in Michigan, 40 miles west of Detroit, where the sun is now just rising. Looking forward to a belter of a match. There's Steve, who's an American fan of county cricket. So thank you, Steve, for getting in touch. And Jonathan's been in touch. He says, great coverage on the TV, several cameras. And he says, Sussex and Surrey seniors open their league programmes next week. See you at home at the Worcester game, where Jonathan's going to talk to us all about Sussex seniors cricket. So thank you for getting in touch. And Sussex in a spot of trouble here. Yeah,
Tom Alsop, yet another of the Toms, of course, former Hampshire man. He's also a paid-up member of the Wicket-Keepers Union, in at number 4, another left-hander. This goes through to the keeper. Terrific stuff from Brett Hutton here at Trent Bridge. Cloudy morning. New ball. Brett Hutton on his own turf with a tinge of green on it, and he's always been a handful. And the moment he's got figures of 4 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 9. Sussex putting to bat 11 for 2. The Yellow Belly says, amongst all your normal bits and pieces, Dave, he's just tagged on to the end of a conversation. Tunnel of Love, he says, add that to all that you come out with. Thank you very much. The Hound Road. We can sort of see it at the front, so you're not disrupting play. But he says, call that the Tunnel of Love. Some wag mentioned that on Wednesday when describing the covered walkway in front of the pavilion. Here comes O'Neill, bowls to Daniel Hughes. Let's let go outside the off stump. Wasn't that a song by Dire Straits as well? Tunnel of Love? Yeah, I think so. May well have been. Crikey. Dire Straits. Yeah. Great band. Yeah, Mark Knopfler. Yeah. Steve Crawley, batsman, certainly didn't look too thrilled with that decision, says Steve. No, he didn't. So just the impression you get is that you first you think, oh, was that a tad high? But he's gone, and all that matters is the umpire's decision. O'Neill on his way. In and bowls. Oh, crumbs almighty. Oh, Daniel Hughes gets a very fortunate boundary. It's a thick inside edge that could so easily have played on. He's going to get a boundary, but not a convincing shot. Sussex go to 15 for 2. I'm going to have to disappear briefly, Dave, to do my update. Well, from Adrian Harms, in the fullness of time, the sun has just started to peek its nose through. 1 or 2 people looking at the some of the photos I put on of the toss this morning. Paul Taylor out there, you wag, and Jack Dillaway as well. Just wondering if Hasib Should get me to iron his shirt for him this morning, or has it been in his bag since Edgbaston? He's all right, the skipper. He's got plenty of shirts. He'll be all right. Good start by Notts. Fergus O'Neill comes in and bowls this one into the body of Hughes, who really didn't know too much about that last delivery and just edged it past Verena. Away for 4. Outlaw Chris. Morning, Dave. This is my view this morning. He's sent a picture of him watching the match on the telly. I'm in Diggs in Beverley. Jan's birthday. I've brought her away for 2 nights. I'll be back there on Sunday. Have a nice little break there. Outlaw Chris. O'Neill bowls. That's a super delivery with Hughes there, just groping at fresh air in truth. Might even have gone between bat and pad, not too far away from the off stump. And Fergus O'Neill, almost Stuart Broad-like, put his hands up to his mouth. The expression was one of disbelief. Gary Sharp is another one who feels a little disappointed that Freddie McCann has missed out. O'Neill once more, wide enough to be left alone, goes through to the wicketkeeper Verena. 15 for 2 if you just joined. Working at your end, I'm afraid we did have 1 or 2 technical gremlins. Not this side of Salford. We're all connected here. We're just not coming out at your end as O'Neill bowls, little push and run into the offside, a run for Hughes. $16 for 2. Not so just as that heading off. Ben Slater's just popped off the field, and Freddie McCann is on as a sub-fielder. So perhaps just an early comfort break for Ben. I've not seen him actively involved in a slide or a stop or anything. Popped off the field. Quite a lot of people, Callum and just a 53-year-old, just also expressing a little bit of disappointment that Freddie McCann isn't in the starting 11 here. He'll come again, I'm sure, as Hutton bowls a slingy-looking delivery outside the off stump that goes through to Verena. Joseph Walker, commentary seems to have gone again on the BBC Sport website. Two wickets for Hutton. Given Notts the ideal start against the side, a lot with him at the top of the table. There's Hughes pushing it out into the offside again. No run. Hutton turns, comes in, past umpire Blackwell, bowls and turned away on the leg side. No run. Adrian's back with me. The commentary seems to have disappeared again, Adrian, off the BBC Sport website. I've no idea what they're playing at this morning.
Okay. Would you like me to
hold the fort, as they say?
So, this was always going to be a tough game for Sussex. General Hughes, Scrace waits, and then lets the ball go through to keeper Carl Verena, and there is no run. A couple of other emails have come in from Tim, who says, "Hi everyone, from a sunny Worthing. Was thinking the stream wasn't working because Worthing often have terrible internet connection. Glad it's not just me. Looking forward to the continued stream, especially on Sunday, what promised to be a beautiful day. I'll be dusting off the Barbie for the first time this summer." And he says, thanks as ever for the coverage. That's Tim listening down in Worthing. I think the weather is meant to improve significantly early part of next week and getting really quite warm. As in comes Hutton bowls and driven by Hughes, only as far as Hamid at mid-off. and there is no run. Levo's been in touch. Commentary is fine on YouTube, he says, so we are going out with the pictures. 3 slips. There's a backward point. Cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a fine leg. It's a chilly morning here in the East Midlands, but the cloud is now just breaking up over the ground and just a glimmer or two of sunshine making its way across the outfield. As in comes Hutton over the wicket, bowls Hughes. Again, judgment lets that one go outside the off stump, and there is no run. End of that over from Brett Hutton. 5 overs, 1 maiden, 2 wickets for 9. Both wickets taken by Brett Hutton this morning. Tom Haynes for a duck, Tom Clark for 8. Gary's been in touch. He says, when establishing where Trent Bridge is, you mentioned the City ground, but failed to mention Notts County, who are the only club in the city as Forest are actually outside the city boundary. Plus Notts County, the oldest football league club in the world. Consider yourself rebuked, says Gary. I will indeed consider myself rebuked, Gary. In fact, the last time I was up here for a championship match, I went with Dave. He took me to Meadow Lane, and we went to see a pre-season friendly between Notts County and Notts Forest, which was very well attended.
Say Nottingham Forest, or you'd be in trouble.
Oh, really?
Notts County, Nottingham Forest.
Oh, well, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble already because I said we were near the City ground and didn't mention Meadow Lane. Anyway, here comes Fergus O'Neill running in from the Ratcliffe Road. And 4 slips go down. His forward is Tom Alsop, plays into the offside, and there is no run. So thank you for getting in touch, Gary, and I won't make the same mistake again.
Somebody somewhere is having a nightmare trying to keep us connected on air on the BBC Sport website. Can only apologise, folks.
O'Neill, as the sun again makes a fleeting appearance across the ground, in and bowls. Oh, stops beat and be fine takers. Not easy for Sussex this morning. Nottinghamshire winning the toss, having no hesitation in asked Sussex to bat first. And that looks a very good decision at the moment. 4 slips, a backward point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket and a fine leg as O'Neill is in. Bowls, Alsop this time lets that one go, gets the gloves high out of the way, and good carry through to Carl Verheyen, who takes it round about his midriff, and there is no run. Aryan has been in touch. He says, enjoying the commentaries, his 3rd year as a Sussex supporter. He was bought in the club last year with some fanfare and hasn't appeared for the second 11 so far. I'm wondering why he hasn't been brought into the first 11. He wondered if he's injured. The answer to that is, I don't know, but I'll find out for you. Ian, thanks for getting in touch. O'Neill in bowls. Alsop defends down the onside. There is no run. Fielded on his follow through by O'Neill. Ian also goes on to say, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Paul Farbrace's decision to bring in the extra batter as opposed to Carvelos with the injuries. Is this an acknowledgement of Notts being a strong team? And I was hoping to get a draw in this match. No, I don't think it's about getting a draw in the match. I think it's every bit about the recognition of Notts being a good side, a good seam bowling attack. And the wicket looking like it's a good track to bowl on this morning. In comes O'Neill bowls. Alsop takes a big step forward, plays down the onside of the track, and again O'Neill fields off his own bowling, and there is no run. So I think that's very much what it's about, just bolstering the batting a little. Danny Lamb has been playing for Sussex in the previous 3 matches, but he misses out with an injured shoulder in this one. And Sussex bowling resources are being stretched to the limit. No Henry Crocombe, no Sean Hunt at the moment either. In comes O'Neill, bowls, Alsop is forward defensively, plays to mid-on, there is no run. Very tidy from these Nottinghamshire opening bowlers this morning. Fergus O'Neill, 5 overs, 3 maidens, no wicket for 6. Brett Hutton, the wicket taker, 5 overs, 2 maidens. He's taken 2 for 9. And Sussex are 16 for 2 for those of you just joining us here on BBC Radio Nottingham and BBC Radio Sussex. Adrian Harms and Dave Bracegirdle, your commentary team here this week. Ken's been in touch, says, hi Adrian, I'm a Sussex fan who lives in Derbyshire. I'm at Trent Bridge today, sitting opposite you in the Hound Road stand. Oh, perhaps you give us a wave, Ken. Is anyone waving? There's 2 tiers to that stand. Thank you for getting in touch. Bad toss to lose and not a great start by way. In and bowls, and Hughes is forward and plays deliberately to backward point, and there is no run. Sorry, there was a run. What am I talking about? Hughes goes to 8 and Sussex to 17 for 2. 3 slips. There's now a short leg in place. Now there isn't a short leg, so he's certainly changing his field around here. Is Hasib Hamid. We're now going back to, in fact, we're going back to 4 slips and a backward point. Mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. And a fine leg as Hutton runs in towards us from the Stuart Broad end, bowls, and Alsop plays out into the offside and picks up another single. Tom Alsop. So he's on his way. Sussex go to 18 for 2. To backward point, and there is well, it sounds like the commentary's coming out now, which is good. As I say, the old pavilion at the far end of the ground, the Stuart Broad end, is covered in scaffolding and sorts of sheeting as a big update is going on to the old pavilion as Brett Hutton is on his way again. The short leg is back in place for Daniel Hughes, who plays to backward point, and there is no run. Seagull Leo in Lewis has been in touch. He says, I can confirm the commentary has been fine from the start on the YouTube live stream, and it's nicely synced with the pictures, which is not always the case. Marvellous to see Sussex going toe-to-toe with a Test county and their array of acquired talent. Oh, that's a bit harsh. In comes Hutton, bowls to Hughes, who drives nicely. Lovely shot, best shot of the morning. Over pitch from Brett Hutton. And Daniel Hughes have been waiting for that, and he drove the ball beautifully through mid-off for 4 runs. Lovely shot from Hughes. He goes to 12, and Sussex do 22 for 2.
The thing is, if you have a really good season in Division 2, I mean, Notts have found this when they've been promoted in the past. If you have a really good season, you're used to winning and going out there. You'll have a style of play that you're all comfortable with. Generally, I think the top sides in Division 2, the bottom sides in Division 1, there's not that much difference. But where Sussex have excelled this season,
Hutton in bowls. Hughes cuts and he's caught. Very well caught. Low down at backward point. Was cutting that away was Hughes, Daniel Hughes, and he's caught low down. Brett Hutton picks up his 3rd wicket and having hit a lovely boundary straight down the ground. Daniel Hughes goes next ball, and now Sussex are in real trouble. 22 for 3.
Yeah, I was just about to sing the praise, of course, of Sussex of coming into Division 1 and being full of runs at the top of the order in the first 3 matches, and that's always going to get you out of any potential difficulty. Well, they now need the middle order and the lower middle order to come to the party here, because Brett Hutton has had a morning to remember. The first 3 wickets to go down. It's a good catch that by Liam Patterson-White, who, let me say, at breakfast time, we're not entirely sure that he knew he was playing. It was a late pull out from Lyndon James, not feeling so well. He's got a viral infection. Advised, I think, talking to the coaching staff and the medical staff, advised not to take part in this one, get himself better. So Liam Patterson-White, although he wasn't in the squad named last evening, this morning found himself here and in the starting 11. He's taken a good catch low down. Here's another fella who comes out to the middle, who's been in reasonable touch and really needs to make a contribution now as he comes out alongside Tom Alsop.
Yeah, the first right-hander for Sussex, James Coles, was away with England Lions in the winter, just turned 21. Picked up 5 wickets bowling his left-arm spin down at Hove last week. But Sussex really need him to be amongst the runs here this morning. Just pick up on Leo's email. He says, Sussex have been very competitive in all 3 games so far. That's all we can really ask for. I'm sorry I can't be at this game at Trent Bridge. It's a smashing ground. I have very fond memories of watching Matt Pryor score a ton for England and James Kirtley win a Test against South Africa, both whilst on tour locally with Hove Maccabee Cricket Club. Best wickets, says Seagull Leo in Lewis. Thank you for getting in touch. So, 4 slips in place and a short leg. Nottinghamshire off to a terrific start this morning. In comes Hutton over the wicket, bowls to Coles, who lets that one go outside of the off stump, taken by Carl Verena. There is no run to the end of another very good over from Brett Hutton, 6 overs, 2 maidens. He's taken 3 for 15. Nottinghamshire having won the toss here this morning, off to a terrific start there. 22 for 3. Haynes for a duck, Clark for 8, and Daniel Hughes, the latest man out, for 12. Tom Alsop is on 1. James Cole's yet to score.
Gosh, you're looking for a crime he committed, if you like, didn't quite play it down into the ground. It gave Liam Patterson-White at backward point the opportunity to dive forward and catch it low to the ground. Yard either side, it would have been a boundary. Now Josh Tong. Tong wasn't originally, I don't think, expected to play in this one, but he had a lightish workload at Edgbaston last week, and with Dylan Pennington out injured for Notts, they were delighted when they asked the ECB if he could play in this one. Pretty much took the bowling honours, and he comes and just turned away down the leg side. The first match of the season here against Durham, when it's drifting towards a draw, and then he managed to get the old ball to do all sorts of things and got 4 wickets in 12 deliveries just to change the complexion of that one. Bowled Durham out and setting Notts up for a victory on the last afternoon. You can see why England get excited about him, just having watched him sporadically for Worcestershire. Not really used to seeing how he performs, but my word, he's got that extra yard of pace, Adrian. He has got a bit of an X factor about him, and as I say, I can see why England have been excited, and I've given him 2 test matches already. And he comes now and bowls to the right-handed Coles. This is wide enough to leave alone. For a quick bowler, Dave, he doesn't have the longest run-up, does he? No. Which is quite good to see. You know, he's certainly not racing in from the boundary. So came to Nottinghamshire, spent quite a bit of last season injured, was that right? Spent all of last season injured. He actually signed in August of 2023 for Notts, and he made his debut, the first match of this season, missed all of the 2024 campaign. Bowls now a delivery that just shapes away and nestles in the gloves of Carl Verena. What a start for Brett Hutton. His figures: 6 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 15. Winkling out Haynes, Hughes and Clark. 3 lefties have all gone. I just wonder we'll see how this partnership develops, but I just wonder whether John Simpson is down on the card to bat at 7. I just wonder whether they might alter that around if another wicket goes quickly. In comes Josh Tong, past umpire Newell. Mark Newell. This has played good in there, bucket hands. With an all-rounder, it's often a feature that if you're doing well in one discipline, it will boost your confidence in another. And like I say, he's come out of a second 11 game where he scored 165 and took 7 wickets, and then comes back into the first team and takes a good catch straight away. As Josh Tong probing just outside off stump with decent pace, gets one to jag back, but it had gone past the right-hander. 23 for 3. John Malone has been back in touch. He says maybe Farbs knew that we needed the extra batter after looking at the strip. I think that's exactly what it was. Sussex, a lot of people felt that maybe Ari Cavalos will play in this game with Danny Lamb out, but Sussex have gone with the extra batter, which looks a good decision after the first hours of play. This Tong in once more, just probing away, nicely defended. So Josh Tong just concedes a single from his first over. We've had 12 overs at Trent Bridge. 23 for 3. A limited programme of matches for this round, and from here on in, as sides start to run into bye weeks. Neither Notts nor Sussex are playing next week. 2 other Division 1 games at the Oval. Somerset are the visitors there. They're 31 without loss. And Worcestershire at home to Durham. Similar scoreline to here, but it's the home side who are under the cosh. Now, Durham have gone in with 3 new players. They're absolutely running low on bowling resources. They've signed Jake Ball from Somerset, former Nottsman, on a month's loan, and he's got all 3 wickets. In comes Brett Hutton, comes in and bowls to Tom Alsop, who stretches forward, punches out into the offside, fielded by Hamid in his white sun hat, and there is no run. They're all caught Ollie Robinson, the other Ollie Robinson.
Yeah.
So 3 catches at the wicket. Jake Ball on his Durham debut, after not featuring for Somerset this year, has got Roderick, Libby and Jones all caught behind, and he has figures of 6 overs, 3 for 13.
That's a way to endear yourself to your new teammates. In comes Hutton over the wicket, bowls, and Allsop. I'm going to say he let that one go outside the off stump through to keeper Verena, no run.
In Division 2, just 2 matches, just along the road. Derbyshire 34 for 1 against Middlesex, and the wickets have tumbled at Bristol. Gloucestershire 23 for 3 against Leicestershire.
That's unusual down at Bristol, which is very good batting. Trams Hutton over the wicket, bowls, also drives down the ground. Very good stop at mid-on. Very good bit of fielding, low to his
Tong,
right.
Josh Tong.
Well, that's good when you get
Looks like he's got red socks on.
Well, I was just going to say, I thought my eyes were misleading me, but he has got red socks on, Josh Tong. Good stop by the quick bowler. Yes, Martin sent me a link to this young man, the 14-year-old who hit his first ball in the IPL for 6. Extraordinary. Yeah, they do start on young, no question about that. The sun is back with us. And Hutton is in over the wicket, bowls, also stretches forward, plays to backward point, and there is no run. And we were talking about the Tunnel of Love, and he said, yes, it was based on the Spanish city, an amusement arcade in Whitley Bay, near where I was brought up. Both Mark Knopfler and Alan Shearer attended, I presume, your school, which is Gosforth High School. And there we are. Why are we talking about the Tunnel of Love, Dave? Oh, yes.
At the far end, just above the advertising hoardings, you can actually walk from one side of the ground to the other through that tunnel.
Hutton in, bowls, Allsop drives down the ground. Nice looking shot by Tom Allsop, but he picks up a single. Tongue comes racing across to field, can't get there. Hamid backs up, gets in the throw. I have to say, Notts are very eager in the field this morning, Dave. 24 for 3. Tom Allsop goes to 3.
You can see the static camera, which I think they call Wilson, behind the bowler's arm at the far end on a little bit of a makeshift gantry. I had the pleasure, if you can call it that, the last game of winching that up high into the gods.
Why is it called Wilson?
Well, that's a very good question. You'll have to ask producer Kirsty why she calls it Wilson. A bit like Tom Hanks and his volleyball in Castaway, I think.
Hutton. Sun disappears momentarily to the right-handed James Coles. He's in a bowls, and Coles plays carefully down to fine leg and picks up his first run. Sussex go to 25 for 3 at the end of the over. Brett Hutton, very impressive figures, 7 overs, 2 maidens. He's taken 3 for 17. Sussex, having lost the toss this morning, been asked to bat first, are 25 for 3. Allsop on 1. No, he's not. Coles is on 1. Allsop is on 3.
You can tell who Peter Moore's favourite is as well. We went out for the toss, and Peter, well, as always, he was an absolute delight to talk to for me. But big hair, bear hugs for Adrian.
It was lovely to see him.
Yeah.
He'll have happy memories of Hoves and the time he spent there. It should have been nice.
Crikey. There's Josh Tong. Runs away from us with those red socks, very evident. This has turned away behind square on the leg side. So Sussex won the title under Moore's 2006-2007, and it was Durham 8 and 9, and Notts won it in 10. I think that's how it went, wasn't it? And then when Peter Moore's left England for the first time, then he went to Lancashire, didn't he, and won the title there. Had another go with England, and then joined Notts initially as a batting consultant before 2017 taking over as head coach. Tong round the wicket, cut away into the offside, no run, 26 for 3. Had to do a little bit of behind the scenes work, trying to get us connected, trying to make 1 or 2 phone calls, but I don't think unless I've missed it, I don't think we've had a boundary on the short side yet, have we, over on that?
No, we haven't. We had that lovely drive by Daniel Hughes, threw it off for a boundary.
It's often the way when there's
one through third man.
Yeah, often the way when there's a short side, isn't it? Allsop has 3. Next ball is defensively blocked out into the cover. So Hughes made 12, Clark 8, Tom Haynes didn't score in the first innings. Coles is 2 not out, Allsop 3 not out. A sticky, tricky opening passage of play to this game. We've played about 55 minutes.
I'm sure there was a game here that was also played on a similar wicket with a relatively short side. I think it might have been Luke Wood who scored a lot of runs here.
There's Tong bowling, and this has turned down to long leg. Farhan Ahmed loses his Nottinghamshire cap as he moves round smartly to his right down in front of the Hound Road stand to field, and a good throw in. Yeah, I think was it Steve McGoffin that he helped into that stand a few times?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Maiden century in first-class cricket for Luke Wood.
Is that what it was? Oh, you've got a good memory,
yeah,
Dave.
Well, he only scored one for Notts, so
right, that was it.
Yeah. Funnily enough, he made his debut against Sussex the year before, and Jake Libby was also making his debut, and he scored a century on debut, and then a year later Luke Wood helped himself to his only one for Notts as his defender. I think he's had 2 or 3 for Lancashire since then, but 28 for 3. Yeah, Steve McGoffin. Now, he was a player on a cloudy morning. Got a lot of wickets for Sussex.
I often tell the story when Steve made his debut, was up at Aigburth, Liverpool, on a freezing cold day. We were sat in the tent commentating.
There's Tong. Bowls right into the pads and appeals, and he's got a wicket. That was just too quick for Tom Alsop, nearly knocked him off his feet. Express Yorker from Josh Tong gets the LBW verdict. That one did. That one wasn't going over the top, Adrian. No. That one did look out from here, and umpire Neil raised his finger. And Tom Alsop goes for 5. LBW to Josh Tong. And the value of winning that toss for Hasiba Mead, absolutely crucial for Notts here this morning. It might have been boot on the other foot, but as it is, it's 28 for 4.
Well, absolutely, and he was running down. He didn't even bother looking at the umpire, did he?
No.
Did Josh Tongue? He was had his arms up. Tom Alsop is on his way. I just wonder here, whether John Simpson might come out at 6.
So who's the option? Ollie Carter?
Well, Ollie Carter is Ollie Carter was wicketkeeper before John Simpson arrived, and has not really had a place in the side. But he's down to bat at 6. But I'd have just thought, well, no, Ollie Carter is coming out. I wonder whether they might have changed it around a bit just to get some experience out there. But out comes young Ollie Carter, who hasn't played so far this season. 23 years of age.
Now's your chance. Go
Totally.
out there and play on a test match ground, son. We need you.
Well, totally.
Go out there and...
Well, 2 young players with 2 right-handers in now, but this is a big ask, isn't it? Coming into your game for the first game of the season and facing this Nottinghamshire attack.
That's what I meant 20 minutes or so ago when I said Josh Tong, he surprised me a little bit. I wasn't entirely sure of all the tricks he's got in his armoury, but he has got that little bit of X factor. That was just
Yes, it was
a
very
rapid
good.
Yorker that was too quick on that occasion for Tom Alsop.
Well, he's somebody who they might be wrapping up in cotton wool, England, with this 5-test series coming up against India this summer. In comes Brett Hutton running in over the wicket to bowl to James Coles, who defends into the offside, and there is no run.
I think Sam Cook's sort of had an early indication, hasn't he, that he might be involved with the selectors or the ECB asking Essex to rest him last week after they'd watched him here the week before at Trent Bridge. Bowled very well indeed again.
Because the first test match is... Why is the Zimbabwe test not being played at Lord's?
Well, it's been played here, a one-off test, and a 4-dayer at that.
Hutton in bowls to... Oh, didn't know that. Coles.
I don't know, Your Honour, but certainly very rare, isn't it?
Yeah.
For it to be scheduled as a 4-dayer.
Yeah, very rare.
But that's what it is. It starts here on the 22nd of May, I think it is.
Well, there's 2 questions there. Why is the test not being played at Lord's, and why is it a 4-dayer? In comes Hutton over the wicket, bowls to James Coles, who's hit on the pad. There's a loud appeal, but not overly convincing appeal. The ball bounces out onto the onside, and there is no run.
Why would you think it would be at Lord's? They don't always have the first test of the summer at Lord's, do they?
No, I just thought because it's the only test Zimbabwe are playing. I mean, nothing against Trent Bridge, which is a wonderful cricket ground, but as a Zimbabwean player, I guess everyone likes to play at Lord's if they can. I think that's coming up quite soon, isn't it?
22nd of May.
Right, thank you. Wheeling round at the far end is Brett Hutton. 26 for 4. Cloudy skies here at Trent Bridge. In and bowls. Coles defends. Plays to mid-on. There is no run. This is a stern examination for James Coles. But he plays to mid-on. Wanders away to square leg and just adjusts his gloves. He's on 2. Carter yet to score. If you're just joining us late, Nottinghamshire winning the toss on an overcast morning on a pitch, giving some help to the seamers. And Sussex 26 for 4. In comes Hutton. Bowls. Coles lets that one go outside the off stump. Very neatly taken by Carl Verena, and there is no run. You mentioned when we were talking pre-match about Carl Verena, the South African. I have to say, just in the short time I've been watching him, a couple of excellent takes. Looks a very fine wicket keeper.
Top of the Division
Oh.
1. They got underway at Trent Bridge around an hour ago. Dave Bracegirdle is there for us.
And it's been a tremendous hour for Nottinghamshire. They've got Sussex 28 for 4, as you say. These two sides joint top of Division 1. Notts won the toss, put Sussex in. Brett Hutton with the first 3 wickets to fall, and Josh Tong has just removed Tom Alsop. Sussex in all sorts of difficulty at 28 for 4.
Dave, if you want to hear more, you can get the local commentary on.
Quick update for BBC Radio Nottingham. We didn't get too much advance notice of that, but hopefully we've squeezed it all into the last 15 seconds of their bulletin. And I know wounds are still raw and sore. I was told that that John Philby, the Sussex chairman, was going to be here, and if I saw him this week, don't mention the football, Dave. I've sort of had that. It is it's going to be painful on Sunday, isn't it? If did you do the semi-final?
I did the quarter.
Yeah, the quarter-final.
Yeah, I was to win on the day. I know it went to penalties.
Yeah.
Josh Tongue racing away from us from the Ratcliffe Road end, in bowls to Ollie Carter. Lets that pacey delivery go by outside the off stump, taken by Carl Verena, and there is no run. Yeah, so it was a lot of Forest fans down for that.
Yeah.
As there will be at Wembley, I'm sure.
Well, they will, and of course it's the London Marathon.
It is
as well. I understand that.
It's all going on in North London,
Yeah.
because the boxing is at Tottenham Stadium on Saturday night.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Now there's a Sussex and Brighton involvement in that, isn't there?
Tongue in bowls, and Carter is forward, plays to short leg. There is no run. Yeah, Chris Eubank Jr.
You ever been to one of the big boxing bills?
I've never ever been.
No,
Have
I
you?
haven't. No. Last weekend, I watch it on television, but I don't know anybody bar 6 boxers. I could name you 6 boxers maybe. I was at Edgbaston last weekend, and there was a big one at the arena at Birmingham.
Tongue in bowls, good delivery, taken chest high by Verena.
Yeah.
There's no run.
I don't know about you. When we're going away, we're in a different town or city for 4 days, 4 nights. Always have a look and see what's on. Just in case. And there was a full bill of boxing. It was on Sky Fight Night and whatever last weekend from Birmingham, and I even got to the point of looking, and there were cheap tickets available at £45, but I didn't know any of them.
Tongue in bowls. Carter defends down the offside of the track, no run. I think there was a big fight on that bill. Wasn't there a big dispute over whether it was 10 or 12 rounds?
I don't know. Was it Whittaker and somebody?
I think so, yes.
It didn't mean anything to me, and I think you've got to have some sort of emotional tie, unless you're going with with a group of you for a night out, for a sporting occasion or whatever. But just to leave me. I watched some of it on telly, to be fair. I don't know what sort of... with the snooker.
Yeah. I don't know what sort of view you get when you're in a big football stadium. Now, there's a change in the field here. They're going to... there's a deep square leg has been put in place by Josh Tongue, which makes me think we're going to get some short stuff. Carter waits. Tongue is in bowls. Carter defends straight back down the offside of the track. There is no run. Yeah, because if you're a 60th, and it's a wonderful stadium, that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I wonder if it's one of these events that you go to often, like rock concerts, where you just end up watching the screen.
The big screens, yeah. I've been to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the new one, but only for the NFL. I've been 3 times for the NFL. I've not seen the footy in there.
Tongue runs away from us. In and bowls. Carter with a play and a miss, looking to drive through the covers. He was beaten for pace. The ball rattles through into the gloves of Carl Verena. There is no run. End of the over. Sussex are 28 for 4. Tongue 3 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 4. Cole's on 2. Carter yet to score. The men out, for those of you just joining us. Tom Haynes for a duck. Tom Clark for 8. Daniel Hughes for 12. And Tom Alsop for 6. Because that's sort of the home of NFL, isn't it, in this country? Tottenham, is that it rather than Wembley? Or?
For the last few years, they've had 2 matches at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and 1 at Wembley. Got a bowling change. Fergus O'Neill is replacing Brett Hutton then, who comes out of the attack with 3 wickets. And O'Neill, bowled 5 overs from this end, is switching to the Stuart Broad end. So Notts without their usual 4th seamer in this attack. Lyndon James not playing in this game, pulling out with a viral infection this morning. So here is the Victorian, and crikey, Verena took that in front of Bennett and Duckett at second slip, but it was all after it had gone past the bat. Why is umpire Newell striding in? I think he perhaps, I don't know, could he perhaps see that the stumps weren't level? I don't know.
Strange, wasn't he? That was sort of the action he made, wasn't it? I don't know whether they've adjusted the stumps.
Well, he didn't seem to, unless he was concerned about walking on the wicket from the batter. I don't know. He said something, didn't he? This wide of the off stump, and this time it just scuttles along the ground, having pitched in front of Verena. 28 for 4. Dave Bracegirdle and Adrian Harms at Trent Bridge on this cloudy old morning. The other Division 1 scores: Somerset 51 without loss at the Oval against Surrey. Worcestershire 34 for 3 against Durham in the North East, all 3 wickets to Jake Ball. Derbyshire 43 for 1 attempt to Middlesex in Division 2, and Gloucestershire 32 for 3 against Leicestershire. O'Neill in again, and Coles just quickly whipped the bat inside the line.
Well, Paul Firebrace has spoken a lot pre-season about you want to be in the First Division because you want to be facing the best players, and that's what Sussex are doing here. And this is it's a terrific examination for these. James Cole's just 21 years of age. He's a very highly promising player, very stylish player. But this is what it's all about, Dave. This is where you earn your spurs, isn't it, in games like this?
Cole's on strike on 2. Left alone goes through, and the leading wicket taker in Fergus O'Neill with 18. Well, Haynes didn't add to his tally, and thus far Fergus O'Neill hasn't added to his. John Simpson, 3rd highest scorer with 375. He's due in next. Daniel Hughes also having scored over 300 runs as next ball's pushed into the offside. Seba Mead is the top scorer for Notts with 296. He's had an unbeaten century and a 92.
So you're talking about American football at the Tottenham Stadium. Was that working, or is that a passion of yours, Dave?
Oh no, a passion.
Is it?
A passion, yeah. 28 for 4. Got up early to watch the draft this morning as this one skews out off the outside edge and runs down to 3rd man for a boundary. They've been in short supply this morning, but we'll get the score moving along quickly. If they can repeat that. It was off the outside edge, but safely along the ground. Boundary takes Sussex to 32 for 4. Things are cyclical, aren't they, between sides, between counties over the years? But the last few matches have gone Nottinghamshire's way, Adrian. Yeah. I don't say this gloating. I'm just we've got we've both seen Sussex give Notts some right hammerings in our time, but in recent-ish years, Notts have won 5 and drawn 1 of the last 6 meetings. I was just looking, the last time the sides met, Notts obviously won home and away that year, 2022. Archie Lenham's last first-class game, 2022. That surprised me, looking at that card.
Just Tongue in bowl short, and there's a no ball from Josh Tongue, just overstepping, and Wally Carter to quickly duck underneath. That was a pacey delivery taken by Verena, and there is no run. That's a great stat, actually. I hadn't really. I mean, he's primarily been playing. He hasn't played a lot of T20 cricket either, Archie Lenham. I remember that game up here because I think Ollie Robinson got 9 wickets, but Sussex got rather blown away in the batting department. 3 slips go down as Tongue with this relatively short run up for a quick bowler. He's in and bowls, and Carter shows good technique. Lets that one go by outside the off stump, taken by Verena. There's no run.
Just on the bottom of the scorecard here in July 2022, James Pattinson and Archie Lenham each played their final first-class match. With James Pattinson, I think we can firmly say that was his last. Does have designs on coming back into the side.
Tongue in bowl short. Oh, and I think that flicked off the glove. We'll wait for the umpire's signal.
Yeah.
Indeed, they are giving us run. So it flicked off Ollie Carter's glove. It was a diving Carl Verena, but it was a long way down the leg side. It wasn't a chance, but Carter picks up his first runs. He goes to 4 and Sussex to 38 for 4.
And it's been obviously a leanish period for matches between Notts and Sussex. The time before then was 2017 when both sides were in Division 2. And again, similarly at the bottom of that scorecard, Greg Smith's last first-class appearance for Notts, the former Leicestershire player, he retired from the game, went to work in the city. But A.P. Barton, his only first-class appearance for Sussex. A.P. Barton.
There was a game as well when Chris Reed retired. Was that down at Hove?
That was at Hove, the end of 2017, right. Yeah. Last game of the season.
Now, leg slipper's gone in place for Ollie Carter, who waits. Tongue is in, bowls, and Carter drives. I think that was thick edge onto pad. The ball bounces out into the offside. All the slip cordon have got hands on heads, but there is no run. Yes, I remember because he played a very fine innings, Chris Reed, because I think Notts needed to avoid defeat in that game, get promotion.
Yeah.
And he came in with Notts in a degree of trouble.
That's absolutely right. Chris Reed and Billy Root each scored centuries, and it was Luke Wells who was skippering Sussex. He got a big century for the home side down there.
Tongue is in, bowls. Carter with good defence, bat and pad close together, plays the ball out into the offside. There is no run. This is a really stern examination of Ollie Carter and James Coles against excellent bowling, and Josh Tongue is bowling at a fair old lick out there. I've seen him playing down at New Road. Josh Tongue, of course, that's where Dylan Pennington was as well at Worcestershire. Now he's going to change the field again. That fielder was at deepish mid-wicket. He's now moved to almost deep backward square leg. Short leg in place, still the leg slip and 3 slips. As Josh Tongue is on his way over the wicket. Bowls, Carter, good shot.
Yeah.
Drills the ball down the ground. That's nicely played by Ollie Carter, who's going to pick up at least a couple of runs. They may think of coming back for a third. That will be ill-advised because Hasib Hamid is very quickly back and fields the ball. 2 to Carter. He goes to 6. Sussex to 40 for 4. That's the sort of shot that can give a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
Nicely played.
Yeah, play in the V. Got you a couple of Sussex birthdays. Well, 25th of April. It's Monty Panesar's birthday today.
Really?
43 today, Monty.
Tongue in, bowls, and played confidently by Carter onto the onside. There is no run. End of the over, 40 for 4. Coles and Carter both on 6 apiece.
And the other one, 1872, C.B. Fry.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Now, he was a character, wasn't he?
He was a character.
And he played football as well at the highest level?
Yeah, he did football at the highest level. He also was a very good athlete as well. There was an exhibition last year down in
a proper Roy of the Rovers type character.
Yeah, down in the Sussex Museum on C.B. Fry. If you're listening down in the museum, there'll be people down there today volunteering and cataloguing books and all sorts of things. So if you're listening down in the Sussex Museum, very good morning, or good afternoon to you now, I should say.
Yeah, we're beyond the yard arm. Here's Fergus O'Neill. This one sufficiently wide to be allowed to pass through to Carl Verena.
And a big thank you to Margaret, who's one of the volunteers down in the museum, who already this season had made us 2 very fine cakes, Dave. A lovely chocolate cake and a fruit cake.
I saw, was it the opening round or the second round? Your first match anyway.
Yes.
You put a photograph on of fabulous chocolate cake.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Sussex 40 for 4. Sticky first hour as O'Neill bowls seemingly from well behind the crease there.
Interesting. Did he lose his run, do you think?
I don't know. is a typical aggressive Australian. Once he's crossed the white line and gets out there, and he's got all the tricks in the world, and he'll run in all day for you. Lovely fella, nicest bloke you could wish to meet this side of the boundary. Get him out there and he'll give it everything. Again, just a little wide, and Cole's shoulders arms. It goes through to Verena. Attacking field from Notts, 4 slips as an emergency vehicle of some sort goes past the ground.
So where's he going to after this, Dave? Back to Australia, or?
I asked him that, and he said, I'm having a bit of holiday with my big chum Will Sutherland, who he plays for the Melbourne Renegades with, but I think they're doing a bit of a travel around Europe. This is short and pulled away for 4. That's good from Coles, just too short from Fergus O'Neill. Tried something a little different, didn't get the bouncer high enough, and just in fact turned into a bit of a long hop, and it's nicely dealt with. 44 for 4.
But he bats a bit as well, Dave, so
yeah,
good prospect.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. As said, he'd love to come back next year if he can, for the full year, which was, I'm sure, music to Mick Newell's ears, as this goes through to the keeper. Notts have got Mohammed Abbas, the former Hampshire quick, joining them for the next game from there on in.
For the rest of the season?
No. There's a couple of matches in the middle. I think the Kookaburra Ball matches, where I think they're going in another direction. That's as I understand it at the moment. They've got him for, I think, 3 or 4 matches, and then they've got him in September as well. Next ball on its way now, and this is pushed to backward point, fielded by Brett Hutton, certainly the man of the morning as far as Notts are concerned. End of that over, 44 for 4 after 19 overs here on BBC Radio Nottingham, BBC Sussex Sport, on the live stream brought to you by Trent Bridge Live, and on your smart speaker. Ask BBC Sounds to play Notts versus Sussex Day 1, if that's how you like to get your sport on the radio. The tongue to continue. Generally, Adrian has sort of 4 or 5 over quick spells, and may well be his last one here.
Coming in bowls to Ollie Carter, who's solidly forward, plays to mid-on. There is no run. He's got good defensive technique as Ollie Carter. He was wicket keeper for Sussex before the arrival of John Simpson. I think many Sussex supporters feel he's a little unlucky not to have played more than he has, not as a wicket keeper, because Simpson is a far superior keeper, but maybe his opportunities to bat have been rather limited, and he'll be very keen to make the most of this opportunity, albeit against this very strong Nottinghamshire attack. Tongue is in, bowls. Oh, Carter, that's a really quick delivery. He's beaten Carter outside the off stump. It's taken by Verena, almost sort of shoulder high. It was still going up. That was sharp.
It was, yeah.
That really was quick.
Sean Hunt currently out injured.
Yes, and a real shame. He took 9 wickets against Somerset in the opening home game of the season. But he's got some sort of a shoulder injury, Sean, and sadly he's going to be out for at least 3 months, and he's a point of difference, Sean, because he's a left arm. No run. And Henry Crocombe, young seamer who was away with the Lions pre-Christmas, has picked up a shoulder injury. Now, we understand he's had an exploratory operation on that shoulder that's revealed no significant damage, and Paul Farbrace was hopeful he'd be back within maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Although I wonder if the next game, which is against Worcestershire at Hove, may be a little soon, but we'll have to wait and see. Tongue in again. Bowls. Carter defends well onto the onside, past the diving fielder at short leg. Carter goes to 7 and Sussex to 45 for 4. Adrian in Plymouth says, I enjoyed your reference to C.B. Fry earlier. My late great mother's claim to fame is having been hit on the head by a 6 by C.B. Fry at Hastings. Apparently he bought her a brandy to make amends. I hope your grandma was okay. Brandy probably made up for it. Thank you for that, Adrian. In comes Tong, bowls, and Coles is forward, and well, it was the right call. He played the ball to mid-on. It was fielded by Hasiba Mead. Ollie Carter was at the non-strikers end, was sort of halfway down the pitch looking for a single, but it was never there, and James Coles very rightly sent him back. Yeah, that's a lovely story.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adrian. Sussex Cricket at bbc.co.uk for your emails, or you can tweet at Brace Cricket. Be lovely to hear from you throughout the game. Another change in the field, and that fielder at mid-wicket has now gone back to deep mid-wicket, as Josh Tongue, under cloudy skies here at Trent Bridge, is in and bowls right up in the block hole, and James Coles is forward, plays to backward point, and there is no run. James Coles remains on 10. Ollie Carter on 7. Sussex 45 for 4 here, with 3 wickets to Brett Hutton, the other taken by Josh Tongue. Sussex have been asked to bat here this morning, and these 2 young players trying to lead something of a recovery from Sussex were at 28 for 4.
Alistair says the title charge is on, Dave. I love our bowling attack. We'll enjoy it while it's here, because this will be the last time we see O'Neill. Having a cracking time, says great start for Notts, Dave. The BBC say Lyndon James is out with a groin niggle. You said it was a viral infection. What is it? It's a viral infection. I'm not a doctor, but I was told specifically what it was, and it's a viral infection. There's O'Neill bowls, and there's just the hint that we could hear a little bit of a sound in our effects microphone, but clearly not, as it goes through to Verena. We're not in line, but it does seem as if he is still getting this ball. A great entertainment would be great. See, you're getting a little greedy there, Alistair. Normally say, if you put a side in, you're generally pretty happy if you can get 3 wickets, and then you get 4, and now you're wanting 5. O'Neill bowls, and Carter again lets it go through to the wicket-keeper. Steve says it's going to look a lot different here next summer, Dave. Meanwhile, on the pitch, Notts have Sussex 38 for 4. Great start to the season. Thank you, Steve. Jiggs, who spends his life going up and down the waterways and canals of Great Britain,
oh, how lovely,
on his houseboat, says, I'm house sitting for the mother-in-law there this week, able to watch the stream, as well as listen to you pair commentating. Come back to Jiggs in a second, as Fergus O'Neill bowls. Nice looking shot down the ground for 4 by Ollie Carter. He'll get full value for that as it makes its way over the rope at the base of the Batman board. Jiggs goes on super start and shape, especially after what I'd seen of the previous scores from Sussex in their other opening games. Thank you both. Thanks everybody at Brace Cricket. If you want to get in touch in the old Twittery thing, or Adrian's email address is somewhere on here. Sussex. Is that Sussex Cricket?
Yes.
You better read it.
It's all right. It's but that tells you how awful my handwriting is. Sussex Cricket at bbc.co.uk. Sorry, Dave.
It's not your handwriting. It's the other side of the desk. O'Neill bowls, work to 8 leg, no run.
That sounds a lovely life. He spends all year on the waterways.
Yes.
How lovely.
Yes. On his houseboat.
What if he makes it down my way? What if he ever makes it down to the River Way, down the Thames and down the River Way?
Can you get down there on a canal boat?
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There you are, Jiggs. Have you been down Sussex way? Here comes O'Neill. Bowls once more and blocked by Carter. He's on 11. Cole's on 10. Partnership of 21 so far. Yeah,
but it doesn't sound much, does it, a partnership of 21? But I think these 2 young Sussex players have done really well, because this is high-quality bowling on a pitch that's giving a bit of help, cloudy overhead conditions, and these 2 have impressively got into line and left the balls they've had to leave. It's been impressive so far, fingers crossed, from a Sussex point of view.
Just a little look there on the live stream. I'll come back to that in a moment, as this is driven through. No, it's a good stop by Hamid. He'll get a single. Saves 3 runs there. I thought that was through and beyond and away for a boundary, but it's a single. And that brings the Sussex 50 up, 50 for 4. Yeah, on the live stream, we just saw shots of Matthew Montgomery and Lyndon James on the boundary edge.
Is this Liam Patterson-White who's going to get a bowl?
Yep, it is. Like I say, Notts have gone in with just the 3 seamers then, with Lyndon James not playing. Got the 2 spinners, the slow left armour, Liam Patterson-White, and Farhan Ahmed, the off spinner. So they don't want to bowl the three principal quicks into the ground. There's no other real seam options, so expect spin to bowl a hefty number of overs just so the other three can keep rotating.
We've had a listener in Prague this morning. We've got another listener now from a cloudy Budapest. From Dominic. He says, Ollie Carter looking excellent against a good pace attack. Worth mentioning that the cricket is easily available on YouTube. No issue with the sound, but some occasional buffering. Thank you for the commentary, says Dominic. Listening all the way over in Budapest. Have you been to Budapest, Dave?
I haven't. It's on the bucket list.
Yes, beautiful city. I went there at Christmas time a few years ago. And it was a fun place to go because the Christmas markets were fabulous. Although it was a bit chilly.
Yeah, I've done Prague at Christmas.
Have you?
But not,
yeah, lovely.
Not Budapest.
Anyway, in comes Liam Patterson-White. White even. Left arm around the wicket. Bowls to Ollie Carter, who plays down the track. There is no run.
LPW is the easiest thing
is
I
it?
find.
I might I might do that. It's a bit of a mouthful
what do you
otherwise.
do with Finn Hudson-Prentice? What do you be? FHP?
Yes. I always write it in my book as FHP. Patterson-White in again, and defending solidly is Ollie Carter. Straight back down the track. Patterson-White fields off his own bowling, no run. Just the one slip. Three men saving one on the offside, three on the leg. There's a sweeper on the cover boundary. I'd imagine there's probably a long on or a long off as in comes Patterson-White bowls, and again Carter defends, and there is no run. Where are the other fielders, Dave? So, sorry, we've got mid-off and mid-on. Yeah. Is there anyone down deep? Can't quite see. We've got the little balcony in front of us.
3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Yes, we are missing somebody, so there must be somebody.
Patterson-White in again. Carter takes a couple of steps down the wicket, plays down the onside.
Oh, out there on the mid-wicket.
Oh,
fence.
yes. I couldn't see Brett Hutton because he's in front of the white seats, and that's why that's my excuse anyway.
No, I took 2 takes before I could find fielder number 11.
Patterson-White in again, bowls, and God, with a roll of the risk, flicks that to mid-wicket. There is no run, fielded by Hamid. He's a good fielder, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very good indeed. Skip round the wicket, comes off this relatively short run, half a dozen or so paces, in and bowls, and Carter defends onto the onside. So a maiden over for Liam Patterson-White, called up into the side at very late notice today with Lyndon James, as Dave was saying, out with a bit of a virus. We wish him well, but Liam Patterson-White's been in great form with both bat and ball. Sussex 50 for 4 at the end of the over. Oh, crumbs, I need to go and do my update, Dave.
Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, Liam Patterson-White is 49th first-class game, 116 first-class wickets. Played 7 of the 14 matches last year. I'm just wondering, last time we saw him in the county championship side, but not that long ago. Played half the games last year, and of course Farhan Ahmed made his breakthrough September last year. So Josh Tong has been switched to the pavilion end. 5 overs, 1 for 13. Comes in again and bowls, and that's a pacey start. So just wondered if it might just be an initial 5-over burst from Josh Tong. Well, it was from this end, but they're going to keep him going from the far end, just to see if he can add to Sussex's woes. Gloucestershire are 5 down at Bristol in Division 2 against Leicestershire. Leicestershire having a decent start to the season, 52 for 5 in that one. Cameron Bancroft, the Australian, out for naught this morning. This Tong bowls turned up to mid-on by James Coles. So still to come, John Simpson, Finn Hudson-Prentice, Jack Carson, Ollie Robinson and Jaden Seals. Ball makes its way back to Tong. We're in the 23rd over of the morning, and Tong bowls a shortish delivery, which causes Coles to drop to his knees. Let it go safely through to Verena. We've got Joe Clark at first slip, Ben Duckett at second, Jack Haynes at third, and Patterson-White backward point position. captain at sort of a wideish position, probably more extra cover than mid-off. As Tong bowls now, and Hamid comes towards it, but the bounce of the ball takes it closer to Slater and he picks it up. O'Neill, Hutton and Farhan Ahmed are on the leg side. Two of them out on the fence. Tong once more bowls and is worked away behind square on the leg side. Hutton will do the fielding. Strong right arm throw into the gloves. Good crowd in. I'm sure there's a decent number have made the journey up from the south coast as well, just to take in a see this top of the table clash. Good delivery past the outside edge from Josh Tong. Good stuff from Tong. He's asked a lot of questions, got rid of Tom Allsop with a really pacey delivery right up in the block hole. At Allsop's pads in front of all three. Looks as if we're going to get a change at this end. It's going to be Fergus O'Neill, so only the one over from Liam Patterson-White, the maiden. And Fergus O'Neill coming back. So a little bit of an exploratory over from the spinner. It meant that Hamid could move Tong down to the far end, and he just wanted to have a little look to see if Patterson-White could extract anything from the surface, but O'Neill is back into the attack. First ball is off the outside edge, runs down towards the Hound Road stand at third man, and they come back for three. Good purposeful running. And Sussex advanced to 54 for 4. Coles has 14, Carter back on strike on 12. County Championship Division 1 cricket brought to you by the BBC. Cricket Mad says good afternoon to Dave and Adrian. Notts top of the table and listening as Yorkshire aren't playing. This is Lily up in Malton. Says she'll injure hard into the ground and back to him. Notts began the season with a win here, an 8-wicket victory over Durham. First round of matches, and then a draw against Essex last week. The better of a rain-affected draw at Edgbaston, just didn't get enough overs in on the final day to press their victory claims. O'Neill bowls once more to Ollie Carter. This time a checked forward defensive block into the offside, no run. Certainly since Notts were last here a couple of weeks ago, the outfielders certainly had a good drink of water. There's been a decent amount of rain's fallen during the last week or so. This is steered to backward point, no run. Were parts of the outfield looking very parched during those first 2 home matches of the season. Not starting with a run of home games. This is their third home game of the first 4, and their next match in a fortnight is at home to Hampshire, so they'll begin 4 of 5 home matches. Carter on 12. Drives again, but only as far as Hutton. Up at mid-off, no run. Freddie McCann and James Hayes were omitted from the Nottinghamshire squad of 13 announced last night, but Liam Patterson-White also clearly called in, and he took the place of Lyndon James this morning. There's O'Neill, balls once more. solid in defence, Ollie Carter. O'Neill's come back over, went for 3 runs, 9 overs, none for 22 for the Australian. Seba Mead just having a little word in his ear. Just wonder if he'll keep him going. He's had a good old natter there, the arm round the back. So last 3 overs from this end have been bowled by Josh Tong, Liam Patterson-White and O'Neill. Meanwhile, it's going to be Josh Tong. 54 for 4, Sussex. Put into bat. They've lost Haynes, Hughes, Clark and Allsop. Top 4 on the card, but now runs with an open face. That's very deliberately played by James Coles. Gets a boundary from the first ball of the over. Pacey delivery, but wide enough just to be guided down to the rope for 4. In front of the makeshift dressing rooms, down to our right. Nice boundary to get the over underway for Sussex as Adrian comes back. 58 for 4.
I tell you what, call me a southern softie, but I'm glad I put my coat on. Tell me it's a bit chilly, Dave, please.
It is a little bit, but
yeah.
We've got the windows wide open to enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, no, totally.
Have a crack. Here's Josh Tong.
Second ball of his 7th over. He's in and bowls to Coles, who changed his shot at the last. I think James Coles, I think he was caught in 3 minds. I think he was initially going to duck and let it go. Then he was going to pull it. Then he pulled out the shot altogether, and the ball, I'm not so sure it didn't come off his glove and bounced onto the leg side, and there is no run.
Just wondering what might happen at this end next over, because the last 3 overs, as I was just mentioning to the listeners and the viewers, the last 3 overs from this end have been bowled by Josh Tong, Liam Patterson-White and Fergus O'Neill, and at the end of the over, Hamid came up and put an arm round O'Neill as if to say, have another blow. So it might just be they're all having a go from this end.
Helmet is being bought outside. I imagine we're going to get a short leg going in place. Nice to hear from Chris Nash, former Sussex opener. Always good to hear. Who sends his regards to you, Dave.
Good man.
Yeah.
Former Nottinghamshire captain.
Yeah.
Did it for 2 or 3 games.
Tong. Yeah, I'd forgotten that Chris finished his career up here. In and bowls, and Coles drives not quite where he intended. He's going to get a couple of runs through, well, they should have been 2 there, but there was only the single. They didn't run that first run particularly quickly, but James Coles goes to 19 and Sussex to 59 for 4. Yeah, he says, send my wishes to the best.
As a medal winner.
Yes,
I think the last game he played, I think, was the
T20.
The T20 Blast, the semi-final at a deserted Edgbaston. He got injured in the semi-final, and Peter Trigo came in for the final, but Chris got his medal.
Was that the COVID?
The COVID, yeah, the 2021, yeah. Behind closed doors. It was awful at Edgbaston that weekend. Rained all day Saturday.
Tongue in bowls. Carter defends. Plays up well, Ollie. Carter was actually with me at finals day last season at Edgbaston when Sussex lost in the quarter-finals to the eventual winners Gloucestershire.
Not your name, but BBC Sussex's name is still on the door at Edgbaston.
Is it?
Of the room you used, yeah, I saw it last week.
And comes Tongue again, bowls. Carter drives to mid-off, and there is no run. So good to hear from Chris.
I know you've been to Edgbaston this year, but it was the T20, this room for BBC London and BBC Sussex. Yes,
it was, because Surrey... Who did Surrey play? Somerset, I think, in the first semi-final. Then Sussex were on second. 3 slips, backward point, mid-off, short leg. There's a straightish mid-wicket. 2 men set back on the leg side as Josh Tongue comes racing in. Bowls to Ollie Carter, who drives to mid-off. There is no run. End of the over. Sussex 59 for 4. Coles on 19. Carter on 12. I've been impressed by these two. I think they've really got their heads down against some very good Nottinghamshire bowling, and they're by no means out the woods, but from the depths of 28 for 4, they're now 59 for 4.
Yes, they've been together for about an hour now. We've got 17 or 18 minutes to go until the luncheon interval. 59 for 4, Sussex. As Adrian said, they were in all sorts of trouble. They lost Tom Haynes, leading run scorer in the country, 3rd ball of the match for naught. They were 11 for 2 when Tom Clark went, 22 for 3 when Daniel Hughes fell, all 3 wickets to Brett Hutton, and 28 for 4. Ball of the morning, Tom getting rid of Allsop, as this is Fergus O'Neill. continuing, and a single taken by Coles on the leg side. So the arm round him from the skipper was not a case of have another breather. It's, can you keep going for me? I need you to keep going from this end. O'Neill's last game, in theory, his last game until the Australian domestic season begins, what, November time? So he'll get plenty of overs if needed in this game. Here is O'Neill. Ball's now slightly holds that one back, and Carter was waiting for it and defends.
A couple of emails have come in. Sussex Cricket at bbc.co.uk. Craig in Port Slade says, I said it during our mid-order collapse against Somerset, which we won, but until John Simpson is bowled out twice, I always have faith in a win. Cratter.
He's out there now on a strike on 12, Carter, and defends this one up to Brett Hutton. And much as I admire John Simpson, both with wicket-keeping gloves on and batting gloves on, I've seen rather more of him batting than I ever wished to in Middlesex colours. He's always got runs against Notts, so that may well continue. He's always been a thorn in the side of Notts. Fine player. There's O'Neill, leaves behind his mark, and this one was angling down the leg side, and Carter was targeting the short boundary there, didn't get anything on it.
He was. Nice message from Ollie Robinson's dad, Ian, who's in the ground together with Dawn. Hello, Ian and Dawn. They say from a chilly Trent Bridge. I don't know where you're sitting, but it's when the sun comes out. When I got here this morning, Dave, just after 9, it was lovely, wasn't it? Lots of blue sky, and it was quite warm.
Yeah.
But it's clouded over now, and it is pretty chilly. Thank you, though.
O'Neill again. Past umpire Newell. And, it's played up to a mid-on. Accurate stuff from O'Neill. While you were out the room, Adrian, you had a message in from Lily in Moulton, saying she's looking forward to seeing you at Scarborough in July. I'd sort of read it before I realised it was intended for you.
That's right. Well, that's successive. I'd never been to Scarborough until last year, and now I'm going up there 2 years in a row.
North Marine Road.
Yeah.
60 for 4. That's O'Neill bowls again, and this is dropped on the leg side, and there's no run. End of the over. In fact, you hadn't been here for a number of years, and then you came twice in a week, didn't you? The fixture schedulers had you coming here for a one-dayer and the championship match.
That's right.
Sussex were pretty in pink with Chiteshwar Pujara as the skipper, and then he came for the championship match all the other way round.
That's right. Absolutely right.
And you went to Welbeck last year when I missed one. I missed my first game in about 10 years. Didn't do Welbeck last year.
Yeah, I was well looked after at Welbeck Colliery last year.
Cakes?
Cakes, yeah, all sorts we
Pizza?
had. We were well looked. Yeah, we were well looked after. It's right out in the sticks, though, Dave. Came off the M1, and I was thinking, is this really where the cricket ground is?
If you like an electricity pylon, that's the place for you.
In comes Josh Tongue, racing in from the Stuart Broad end. Bowls to James Coles, who plays firmly to Hasib Hamid, who's fielding there at straightish mid-wicket. There is no run. Charlie's been in. He says, our morning's play is making it clear why Sussex are repairing roads at Hove. I think that's harsh, Charlie, I've got to say. Hopefully the boys can work the lateral movement out. I think the wickets at Hove have been excellent over the last couple of seasons under Ben Gibson and his team down there. In comes Tongue, bowls short, and Coles plays that well. He just ducks and lets the ball pass down the leg side, taken by Carl Verena, and there is no run. Yeah, the wickets have been really good down at Hove. The wicket against Surrey did go a little flat, but other than that, they've been result pitches, and I think they've been very good pitches. So I'd have to say, Charlie, I don't quite agree with that.
So you've had 2 games at home and Edgbaston away.
Yeah,
same as Notts.
Yeah,
so 2 games at home and Edgbaston away. Yeah.
So a win in one and a draw in the other. In comes Tongue, bowls, and Coles' drive doesn't quite time that, James Coles, but he's going to get at least a couple of runs. Liam Patterson-White charging out towards the boundary edge, but Coles comes back for his 22nd run, 62 for 4. But thank you, Charlie, for getting in touch. One here from David Igginton, I think is how you pronounce it. Good afternoon, all. One player who played for both Sussex and Nottinghamshire, who believe you might not guess today. Oh, hang on. Just break off for a moment.
Do you want to give me a clue or something?
In comes
Or our listeners.
Tongue bowls, and Coles plays this nicely through mid-wicket. They picked up one. I think they'll be unwise to take a couple here because Hamid is very quickly back from mid-wicket to field. 63 for 4. He moved to Notts in 2000 and played List A games for both. This is David Igginton watching from Small Dole, which is just sort of out not far from Devil's Dyke in Brighton. I think it's a lovely campsite, David, at Small Dole, from memory. You might be able to let me know.
Sounds nice, doesn't it?
I have to say, I wouldn't have guessed this, and I have to say, I've not heard of this gentleman.
Oh.
In comes Tongue bowls, and Carter picks up a nice. Nicely played by Ollie Carter. A bit too much width from Josh Tongue, and Ollie Carter just waited and just deflected the ball nicely through backward point for 4 runs. Beautifully played by Ollie Carter. He goes to 16 and Sussex to 67 for 4. These two now put on 39.
Giles Hayward?
That's a well done, Dave. I'm really impressed. Yep, it was indeed. Giles Hayward.
You can.
Well, that's very good. So we had listeners. Oh, is someone moving behind the bowler's arm? Well, they've got some screening down there in front of the old pavilion.
I'd say it's difficult to see. Oh, there is someone.
Oh, there is someone. Yeah, there is someone. Yeah, there he is. Oh, he looks embarrassed.
He clearly just stuck his nose out.
Yeah, walking right behind the bowler's arm. Oh, dear. Ollie Carter quite prepared to wait as in comes Josh Tongue. 3 slips go down, 67 for 4. Tongue in bowls. Carter plays on the bounce, short leg. There is no run. End of the over, 67 for 4. Coles 23, Carter is on 16. We've had listeners in Prague. We've had listeners in Budapest. We've now got one in we have one in America as well.
We've had Dubai. Yes.
Yeah, Dubai. Now got one in New Zealand. Hello, Adrian and Dave, watching from Wellington. Entertaining commentary. Have a bit of affinity towards Notts as my mother's forebears herald from there, and of course New Zealand's greatest bowler Richard Hadley played for Notts.
Very much so, and the bowler bowling now, Fergus O'Neill, although an Australian, was born in New Zealand. Taranga, I think.
Right.
67 for 4. Here is O'Neill. Bowles strikes on the pad, asking the umpire. Looked from here as if it might be a bit leggy, but never entirely sure just how far across.
No.
James Coles had gone there to try and whip that one away. Didn't seem to get that much support from behind the wicket.
He was playing slightly across the line there, wasn't he, James? And having batted so well, he'd have been annoyed to have got himself out there, having steered Sussex to, well, a better position than they were at 28 for 4.
Comes O'Neill again bowling, and this one is turned away for a single. 68 for 4. I put a picture on this morning on the old Twittery thing of some of the players who've played for both in relatively recent times. I know it's going back 30 years. I've got to get my old mate on there, Franklin Stevenson. Of course, he played here at Trent Bridge 88 to 94, and then I think he had 95 and 96 at Hove. Franklin Stevenson played for both. O'Neill bowls. This one's driven up to mid-off, and then others I've got. Obviously, we've heard from Chris Nash this morning. He obviously played for both sides. Vernon Philander, the South African.
You're right, yeah.
Jiteshwar Pujara is another one we've mentioned. Ajmal Shahzad. Now, we had a briefish stint with Notts. He was part of their 2013 Lord's One Day Cup success. Neil Bowles, this is defended. He had just a year or two, didn't he? In fact, I think he only played about 5 or 6 games for Sussex before injury, Ajmal Shahzad. And the one that often surprises people, unfortunately, his career was terminated early through illness, the well-documented heart issue. James Taylor. As O'Neill bowls now, and this is steered to backward point. James Taylor, it was at the stage where, or the time where the ECB, when they were looking for games, would often just arrange for a sort of a temporary loan. I can remember Andrew Strauss went off and played 1 game for Somerset when they wanted him to have some match practice before a test match. Well, James Taylor did. He went and played 1 game for Sussex at Hove against the touring Australians and scored a century. O'Neill bowls. That's a late leave from Carter, but I say there's only two sorts of leave, so that one was okay. It didn't disturb a bail. 68 for 4 at the end of the over. Just on about disturbing a bail, something you probably wouldn't have picked up in the first round of matches, first day of the season. Colin Ackerman of Durham he scored a century, but on 80 he was actually bowled here, or the ball clipped to the stump and the bail went up out of the groove and back on. So that was a bit of an unusual one. Brett Hutton coming back into the attack.
That was the first 100 of the season, wasn't it? Colin Ackerman this season.
Yeah.
A couple of emails have come in. Danny's been in touch. Hi, Danny. He's enjoying the commentary. He says James Coles is being talked about as an England prospect with his current average of 34.5. Do you think that's fair? In comes Hutton and bowls to James Coles, who defends onto the onside. There is no run. Probably needs to be nearer 40. He says, what role would he play as he doesn't get in as a bowler either? Well, what I would say, Danny, James Coles is only 21 and he's a tremendous prospect. I know Paul Farbrace rates him very highly. He's a very stylish player. He's been away with the England Lions. What role would he play? Well, he picked up 5 wickets last week against Surrey, bowling his left arm spin. In comes Hutton bowls. Coles defends onto the onside. No run. I know James is very keen to score a century away from Hove because his 3 centuries so far have all been at Hove. But I think he's a very fine young player. You know, maybe at the minute he's just holding his left hand there. Just wait for a moment as in comes Hutton to bowl to Coles again, who's forward defensively, plays back down the track. There is no run. I just thought he walked away then and sort of shook his left hand, but he looks okay now. Dawn and Ian have been back in touch. We're sat opposite the pavilion shivering, so remember you're at the end of the ground where we're commentating from. And Dawn says, speaking as a northerner, if you go to Scarborough, you need a big coat and lots of layers. Comes Hutton bowls. Thank you, Dawn. Coles lets that go outside the off stump. There is no run. Richard's been in touch. He says, looking forward to seeing you all at sunny Scarborough in July. Get yourself to Peaseholm Park.
Oh, yeah.
For the Peaseholm Park Naval Warfare. Always fun.
Yeah.
And, of course, the weather's always glorious. I'm a distant Sussex fan now, but love it when they play Yorkshire up here. I'm also a distant Fulham fan, so looking forward to the NFL games at Wembley and Spurs in October too. In comes Hutton bowls to Coles, who's going to pick up a boundary here. James Coles, he just plays that through the slip cord all the way along the ground. And it races away to third man where there isn't one, and he picks up a boundary. He goes to 26, James Coles. Sussex to 72 for 4.
Yeah, was the naval battle on last time you went, and if you've only been once before? Did you know about the naval battle?
I think Doige was talking about it, yeah, Jonathan Doige.
Oh, you know,
right.
if you're watching the cricket when it's going on, you can hear all the sounds of gunfire, the cannons going off and everything. It really is a terrific thing. It's been there for years and years and years.
In comes Hutton. Over the wicket bowls, and James Coles is forward, plays to mid-on. There is no run. End of the over, 72 for 4. Brett Hutton, 9 overs, 3 maidens, 3 for 21. James Coles on 26. Ollie Carter on 16. So something of a recovery for Sussex from the depths of 22 for 4. Now 72 for 4. And one other name's come in from my good friend Sam Keir. Hello, Sam. Good to hear from you this morning. He says, has Ross Taylor been mentioned?
Oh, no.
There we are.
He played for Sussex, yeah?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Good shout, Sam. That's former press officer, Sam.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Got Liam Patterson-White coming back into the attack. He bowled 1 over about half an hour or so ago.
And he's got another one, actually, Dave. Vasbert Drakes.
Oh, yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. 4 in 4. Barbadian. There's Patterson-White bowling to Carter. So the second over of spin this morning. This may be the last over before lunch, although if they're all just nudged back to him like that first ball, they might squeeze another one in. This is the 30th over of the session. Single taken here by Carter, cutting it out onto the offside. As one of the correspondents earlier said, oh, you want 5 by lunch, you want 5 by lunch. I think when we were out there for the toss, if we'd asked the not skipper, would he settle for 4 by lunch, he'd have bit your hand off. But Sussex have fought back from the very dark 28 for 4. It's Patterson White bowling to Coles, and it's defended. It's not an overly attacking field for the spinner, just Joe Clark in at slip. Even Ben Duckett's been allowed to come out and have a bit of a graze. Got his blue sunglasses on top of his cap. This one's turned onto the leg side by Coles for a single. 74 for 4. Would have been interesting to see what Ben Duckett made of the morning. Were not forced to bat first, how he'd have gone about it. Likes to score his runs quickly. That might be a really interesting passage of play when the likes of Robinson and Jaden Seals are bowling at Duckett. This is fielded nice off his own bowling by Patterson White.
He's desperate to get another over in here, isn't he?
Yeah.
Not sure he's going to succeed. There's 59 on the clock.
Next ball is run out into the offside. Another single. 75 for 4. Then after 30 overs, not so rushing to turn it round. Umpire Neil just hung on at this end, waiting for Ian Blackwell to take his spot, and now they've decided there will be time for one more, and it will be one more from Brett Hutton.
Max has been in touch. Max Tully, he says, hello Adrian and team. I thought I'd send an email to say I'm enjoying the live stream in between clients at work. I got back into cricket when the 100 started, but I found I now prefer the pace of county cricket. As in comes Brett Hutton over the wicket, bowling to Ollie Carter. Let's let go outside the off stump, no one. Due to work commitments, I can't get home as much as I like, so the live stream is always on. Thank you for the commentary. Well, thank you for getting in touch.
Yeah, I mean, it's got its detractors, the Honda. Division 2.
That's really unusual down at Bristol.
Yeah.
It's generally quite flat. In comes Hutton. Bowls and Castle. Let's that one go outside the off stump, no run. Now, we had an email through last week, Dave, from Tim Broadbent, who's over in Kazakhstan.
Crikey.
Yep, he says, your Kazakhstan correspondent here, once again enjoying your commentary as always. Just as I was completely wrong about there being no cricket out here. There is a Kazakhstan cricket board, and there are those who see Central Asia as having a bright cricketing future. Uzbekistan in particular is close to getting ICC recognition.
That'll be the big derby, won't it?
And coach Andy Moles has been brought in for some coaching sessions.
Warwickshire, yeah.
Yep. In comes Hutton bowls. Carter lets that one go outside the off stump. He says, here in Astana, the games are played in a huge stadium, but in Almaty, they have a very smart-looking ground. Never seen a game publicised in the 3 years since we've been here, but we'll keep a closer look out now. I know the noble game is played out here. Keep up the good work, says Tim, and he says the cakes are brilliant out here. So there we are, we've had people listening from all over the place.
Yeah, I've done some, obviously in this country, I've done some football commentary from matches in Almaty. 75 for 4.
In comes Hutton. Bowls. Carter is solidly in behind that place into the offside, no run.
I don't know if you've seen if you watch the Richard Hosman's out of games thing, but he has a segment, doesn't he? Where is Kazakhstan? You've got to
okay.
find things on a map. Nobody ever knows where Kazakhstan is, but it's a huge country, isn't it?
There's so many.
Colossal size.
Yeah. So lovely to hear you, Tim. I think it was very hot out there last week when Tim got in touch. Sort of place is bitterly cold. I think Tim said last week in the winter it's rarely above freezing. So in comes Brett Hutton running into bowl to Ollie Carter. Carter again shows good judgment. Lets that one go outside the off stump, taken athletically by Kyle Verena, and there is no run. Well, it's very much been Nottinghamshire's morning, Dave, but I think Paul Farbrace and the Sussex coaching staff will be pleased with the way that these two young players in particular have really got their heads down and have battled away and have...
Well, last week, I mean, just sort of make some comparisons which probably aren't fair. Brett Hutton nipped out the two Warwickshire openers. They were like they were this morning, 11 for 2 or something like that.
Comes Hutton again, bowls to Carter, drives pleasantly into the offside. There is no run, and that will be lunch.
And then it just carried on, and Warwickshire were all out for 93 in their first innings. That was sort of looking on the cards, wasn't it, when it became 22 for 3 and 28 for 4. 7 this pair have added as they go to lunch. 75 for 4 after 31 overs. Both played very nicely indeed. James Coles is on 29 not out, having faced 52 balls. Ollie Carter 18 not out, having faced 59. So he's had the bulk of the strike, but they've negotiated the latter hour of that session quite nicely indeed. It's 75 for 4. Very much enjoyed everybody's company this morning, and I'm sure Adrian will join me in thanking everybody for all the correspondence that we've had. Quick word.
Of course.
Before we head off to lunch.
Well, I think, you know, we were up there for the toss, Dave. I think it was always whoever won the toss was probably going to bowl first this morning. The pitch, you know, favouring the seam attack of Nottinghamshire this morning, and it did look pretty dire for Sussex. But I think Sussex will be pleased to have gone into lunch with these two having shown some really good resistance in the latter part of the session. Still much work to do, but some encouragement there for Sussex, and still with the pitch just doing a little bit, Dave.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Very much enjoyed your company. There's a quick radio update. We'll be back in 40 minutes' time with the commentary.